On this episode of Shooting the Shit with Saints.
Oh, baby. Oh, baby. I am who I am, right? My name is my name, right? And here we are. Welcome into another video of me, Hunter Sands, on Shooting the Shit with Sands, right? Ooh, oh my God. Here we go again. On today's video, we got the tablet, we got the data. I'm back from Louisiana. Am I? Man, I have been writing rhymes too. Let's cut the guy chatter. Okay. This is mid to late round RBs. I'm a zero RB guy now. So these are the things I'm focusing on. These guys that I've done a lot of research on. And it's really mid to late round RBs. And that's what I'll title the video to bring everybody in. All seven of you. But you're here for a reason. So let's get into it. All right, so the first guy I'm talking about is really the guy that is going third, fourth round. He's going around RB 14, going in the 39th overall to 45 range. Man, he's getting a lot of hate, and I don't know why. James Cook. And I understand the red zone usage. He did lead their team in red zone carries. Yes, Latavius Murray outsnapped him on the goal to go situations. But all in all, James Cook scored two touchdowns inside the 5. Latavius Murray had 4. You know who's getting all of it anyways? Josh Allen. Did you not know that when you drafted him last year? He's one of 4 guys that finished top 12 last year that is not getting drafted in the top 12 this year. And the other guys like Mostert, I totally understand. Age, all that stuff. I get that part. The Nick Chubb, of course he's not because his knee blew up. He should be in the Wounded Warriors program at this point. Shout out to my pawpaw, RIP. What are we doing? Let me stick to fucking fantasy. Okay, so this dude's season has to be split in like 2 parts, right? Before week 11 and post week 11. All right. So before week 11, he surpassed 15 or 14 attempts 2 times. What happened after week 11? Joe Brady took over. And what happened? He only didn't reach that amount of carries, 14 carries, once. He was getting 14 or more carries basically every week for the last 7 weeks, averaging over 100 scrimmage yards. So let's go a little bit more in depth into this week 11 through week 18 stretch for James Cook. Okay, so he was RB10 overall the last 7 weeks, and that's where he finished, guys. I know you don't like the touchdowns, but you might just have to get over it with his production and where you're getting him. You have a possibility of getting a guy who's going to finish most likely in the top 15 in the 4th, 5th round. And that really is not that common because those guys are either the ones that are the rookie breakouts like a Jahmyr Gibbs last year, or they are guys that just end up being 20 to 28. I think James Cook has a really good chance to be in that top 12, top 10 again this year. And this is why. He was RB10 for that stretch. He had as many rushing attempts as Breece Hall, David Montgomery, and CMC. He was RB11 points per week wise. And that's the difference because you go and look in Bijan Robinson, right? Last year, he finished what? RB9, I believe, something like that. He was in the top. He was an RB1, but he was RB17 points per week. That is a massive difference because I told y'all last year, you're going to look at Bijan and his final ranking is probably going to be top 10. Y'all were taking him top fucking 3 last year. But that points per week ain't going to look that good. And it didn't at the end of the year last year. There has only been 12 running backs of the 51 in the first round picked that are rookies that finish averaging over 15 points a game per week. Now, you may go and look at that end rating, but it's all about a per week basis in fantasy. I don't want no roller coaster ride, bro. He was RB10 in yards. He was 18th in targets with Stephon Diggs out there, with Gabe Davis out there. So we're sitting here talking about Khalil Shakir, which I think is a great late round pick, by the way. I think that is a wonderful pick if you want him. And we're also talking about the kid from Utah, Dalton Kincaid. We're talking about him a lot, and I'm very high on him. I'm not high on Khalil in this wide receiver one role when last year he really broke out as not a gadget guy, but a specialty guy who was basically run after catch. He was a run after catch specialist, playmaker. I get that. Who is his second most trusted target out there? James Cook. I mean, it's not that hard. And the only thing that y'all remember really from that season, if you're a hater on James Cook, is what? The touchdowns he dropped, he missed out on. And if those are players that you are looking forward to drafting, you're going to turn that into a positive. And if they didn't give up on James Cook last season, you think I'm worried about some kid named Ray Davis? Are you really that worried about him? Because once again, with Latavius Murray, he only got 2 more touchdowns inside the goddamn 5-yard line. We see this every year a lot of times where we get so paralyzed, right? Paralysis by analysis. We start going into these deep tunnels and convincing ourselves that Ray Davis is going to be the damn reason that James Cook falls into to where? To RB20, to RB15? He's getting drafted RB14. If he finishes 5 to 6 spots below, is it really that bad of a season? What are you convinced of with Ray Davis? He might get 6 carries a game? What are you worried about? Josh Allen is taking all that work away in the goal line. If you haven't realized it, then get over it. Don't draft him. You see, I'm holding back on the curse words. I was going to tell you to get the fuck over it because that's what I really meant. And mostly with him, you are getting the yardage upside and not the touchdown upside. And I know you want touchdown upside. I'm not sitting here going, whoa, yards way over TDs. I'm just saying if you drafted him last year and you're off of him, why? Cool. You got a 6th-round draft pick that finished top 10, bro. Fantastic pick. Quit bitching. The next guy on the list, kind of a default pick here, and I just have to big him up because I've been so down on him the last few years. James Conner, right? I just never thought his years were repeatable. I just didn't. But with Arizona, he has been RB7, RB8, RB13 in points per week. I mean, even if he comes down a little bit, he's getting drafted from RB19 to 22. Going in that 60 overall range, you're looking at a guy, even if he falls off a little bit, you're getting RB20, a RB2 in the 6th round. And once again, for no RB guys, that's what you're looking for. Yes, when I told you to get David Montgomery, I was completely right. He missed some games, but he's a touchdown monster. And that seems what James Conner is, and the stats prove it. 3rd in red zone attempt percentage. That's with a guy like Breece Hall in the league, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, these guys that finished top 3, top 5 in fantasy. That's who he's up there with. An 83% red zone target share. Once an 83% red zone target share. Yes, they were lacking weapons, but now you can say they lacked weapons, but what are you looking at now? Yo, Michael Wilson. Yo, Trey McBride. That's who we're looking at, right? And I know Marvin Harrison's coming in. I know that could take away from the red zone targets, but I don't think that takes away from his red zone work. I think he's not going to be in the upper echelon, but he's going to be in the top 10 of red zone work in the league. And before you try to discount it with Kyler, I did the research because I thought maybe it was skewed because Kyler was out. Maybe it was because I was a pothead for 6 years. Do you think I remember weeks 1 through 8 last year? Am I fucking brain? Are you serious? It's dust up there. I got cobwebs in there. Okay? And then I go and look. Before Kyler came back, he averaged 11 points per week. After Kyler came back, he averaged 16.6 points per week. He got better. Every year in Arizona, he has been a top 15 running back points per week wise. Yes, you might miss some games. I hate to tell you, the percentage of starting RBs missing games is starting to it's just growing, guys. The amount of running back by committees is growing. I know they got Trey Benson, and you should handcuff him if that ends up being the case. I don't think you're gonna be sitting here in week 7 going like, holy shit, I drafted James Conner, and Trey Benson is getting 17 carries a game and James Conner is getting 13. Now that may vary on injury, but I just can't see that. I can't see that happening. And to finish it up, he had 8 touchdowns in the red zone while missing 4 games. So I don't know, man. I really do like this guy because that was the whole thing the first year when he went crazy. It seemed like he was getting a 40-yard touchdown every time he fucking scored. He's like the biggest big play running back in the league, and you never saw that in Pittsburgh. But I'm in on James Conner this year, and I hope to get him in that 5th or 6th round. This next guy you can get from the 7th to about the 9th round in most of the mocks that I'm doing. I told you about him last year. I'm going to tell you about him again because Najee Harris, there are still Najee Harris believers out there, man. Go look. Go check the Reddit streets. Go check the YouTube streets, man. Go check them. It's nuts. Because if you watched 2 Steelers games last year, there was nothing. There's no juice in that tank of Najee. Now, I think they love Najee. I think that's the thing also. I think the team loves Najee Harris. So Jaylen Warren, the guy that I absolutely love again this year, he may not get what he deserves, but he is going to be great value either way. I think you are looking at a guy in the 7th to 9th round that if they make the right coaching decisions could end up just being an RB2. The advanced stats on this guy are crazy. He was first in missed tackles per attempt, broken tackles per attempt. He's second in yards after contact. He was an RB2 in 50% of the games that he played. As the backup on his own team, he placed as an RB2. And just like I said, just the eye test, Najee's giving me Ezekiel Elliott vibes. He looks like he's just in the game to have this presence of power. And it's not even really, he just runs into the O-lineman's asses and he falls over. And then you're praying he falls in the end zone when he has 13 carries for 47 yards. And he did that a couple times for you. He did. He kept me alive for the 1 seed. But still, I can't see it. And at the end of the year, who was top 5 in receptions by running backs? Jaylen Warren. I love him. He's getting drafted RB28, and I think he finishes closer to 17 to 15, if you want me to be honest. I think Najee don't have no juice left. I don't even know if he had juice to begin with. All right. I think his rookie year when he was going crazy, go look at the volume. I think it's close to 400 touches, and that's just not happening anymore. He's a very inefficient runner, and I think Jaylen Warren is a very efficient runner. So we'll just have to see how it goes, but I am big on Jaylen Warren this year. Again, this next guy, you either love him or you hate him. Brian Robinson Jr. You can get this guy in the 9th or 10th round. RB33. I think he finishes way above that, honestly. Even if it's 10 spots, it's a winning pick. Like, I think he is a weekly starter in a flex RB2 position. Once again, this is basically a no RB video, but these are the guys that I'm looking for that maybe your starter gets hurt. You go RB heavy and then wait. I don't have to worry about that rolled ankle because Brian Robinson can at least get me 10 to 15, right? In a PPR format, 9 to 12 in a standard. And he may be more than that because I don't believe in Austin Eckler. And this is me coming from a dude who kept Austin Eckler and drafted him after I kept him for 2 years. And then the next year I came back and said, no, no, no. Roll the tape. I'm not a hot take guy. I promise you. I follow data, and that's all I do. This is the year of the regression of Austin Eckler. In the games where Brian Robinson just had 40% of the snaps, he averaged 15 touches and 80 yards. Now, if I calculate what I think is going to happen, and Eckler with his age is either going to get banged up a little bit, and he may not because of the not secondary but co-pilot role, but a lesser role than usual. And I think Austin Eckler is going to get do you ever draft Austin Eckler and watch Josh Kelly get 17 carries in a row? I think that's what's going to happen with Brian Robinson. I think he's going to take a bulk of the carries, and he has shown third down ability. PFF rated him, I believe, in the top 12 in pass blocking for a running back. This isn't one of those situations where he doesn't have pass pro ability, where he can't catch the ball. No, he's shown that he can catch the ball. He's shown that he can block. So this may be a takeover for Brian Robinson in a potential breakout season for him, which is what I'm looking for in those rounds. All right. This last guy is going RB 45, round 14. And I can't believe it. I really can't. Like, I know it sounds nuts. I can't believe it. He had 10 top 25 finishes, 2 top 10 finishes. That was a tongue twister. 2 top 10 finishes, 10 top 25 finishes. And he's going in the 14th round. Chuba Hubbard. I know y'all want Jonathan Brooks to start tomorrow, and which is nuts. He's on the PUP list. He's not going to play for at least a month. And he's getting drafted ahead of Chuba. I think they should flip-flop. Because when he comes back, how do we know he's going to be 100%? How do we know he's really going to? I don't care about the reports, man. I see this all the time. How do we know? You know what I mean? And just to give some stats on Chuba, weeks 8 through 18, when he established the go-to role, he was RB 18. He averaged 18 touches per week. He was second in the league in attempts, 12th in yards, 13th in 20-plus rushes, 20th in catches. Like, all these things just show he has value. Y'all remember when I told you Tyler Algier had value last year? Fantasy Pros, and that's my main source of information and database that I use. Fantasy Pros experts were telling me that he had no fantasy value last year. That's the vibes I'm getting from Chuba. And I told y'all last year, Tyler Algier is going to piss people off some weeks. You want me to show that video too? Okay. I don't get these experts telling us that Algier is a useless fantasy pickup. Now, at his ADP at 120 plus, you're getting him in the last round. Why would you not take that? I'm not telling no lies here, guys. This Chuba's giving me same vibes. He's giving me vibes of he's not an everyday starter, but when you start him during your bye week, the bye-mageddon, where you got 6 people on buys and you need somebody to plug in there, he can give you some points. And I hope Jonathan Brooks comes back and is a baller because he was a sicko at the University of Texas. And I think people forget his go ahead and go look up what he was actually projected to be drafted at when he was at Texas active and playing. He was going to go high in the draft in a league where running back value has gone to shit. And this is why I have simply gone no RB. Because everywhere you look, it's running back by committee. Everywhere you look. And I know you can pick and prod those 5 to 7 teams that it isn't. The other 25 are doing it. That's why this shit is hard to predict with running backs. And I think wide receivers get more opportunity on a more consistent basis, no matter how bad or how good the team is. That's what I think. Garrett Wilson had fucking Zach Wilson throwing to him, and he had a 95 catch season and 170 targets. These guys are just consistently getting more work as wide receiver ones on their team. It's just, it is what it is. And obviously, the depth of the targets and all that results to me in more consistent yardage, more consistent big plays. I'm not worried about a dude going Jarvis Landry on me a lot of weeks. 13 catches, 52 yards, maybe a tug. I'm not worried about that now. The schemes and all that are just, that's why I'm an early quarterback guy now. I used to shun people for taking a quarterback pre-round 5. Now I am that guy taking a quarterback in round 3 or 4 because of the way I draft. I want game breakers, man. The way most people treat receivers, I am treating running backs. The depth there is actual depth. The RB2 on teams now is getting RB1 work. The wide receiver 2s on teams aren't really getting wide receiver 1 work a lot. And if they are, you're drafting a team that has a lot of mouths to feed. I want as many number 1 options on these teams as I can get. And a lot of y'all are like, no shit, but y'all will settle for a wide receiver 2 on a team, on their own roster. I will not. I want the lion's share. You will settle for another piece. I won't. That's why I go wide receiver, quarterback, wide receiver. Then I go RB. Most of the time, unless there is some insane value in that second round, it has to be a Jahmyr Gibbs Saquon pick. That's what it has to be for me to pick a RB. So with that being said, I ran it a little bit there. My bad. But I love you all. Like, subscribe, content. Like, subscribe, comment. Jesus, I'm out. Dude.